Am I really crazy for saying that Payton Pritchard saved the Boston Celtics? Well, maybe. Or maybe not. Beyond his incredible sharpshooting ability, beyond his surreal buzzer beaters from anywhere on the court,
he loves these, puts it up half court of the buzzer, bang!
Payton's provided the Celtics with something much more important. But that's something we'll talk about later. Because the most incredible thing about the current situation of the favorite to win 6th Man of the Year this season is the difficulty of his journey to this position. Payton is 6'1", a height that, by NBA standards, means problems for any high-level scout and coach. Because of that, he was never a high school player with a probable NBA future. And if that wasn't enough, his dream of a career in the best basketball league in the world hung in the balance even after he turned professional. Pritchard not only overcame all these problems, but has become a vital player for the best team in the entire globe. But how? Well, to understand that, we have to start at the beginning. Like every other kid who makes it to the NBA, Payton was a stud in high school. In his days at Oregon, he looked like a superhero capable of scoring and being an elite defensive disruptor. But he had something different. Pritchard, from the beginning, knew how to win. With West Lynn High School, he went on to win 4 consecutive state championships, a feat few people can boast. But at the same time, something that gave him extra confidence to succeed at the next level. Because the other half of the work, he'd already done it. Payton is a basketball addict. He bled basketball every time he got hurt. And there's no better proof of this than his work ethic. Every day, without exception, before going to class, Pritchard got up at 5:30 a.m. to practice his ball handling with a coarse-weighted ball. Some days, his hands ended up bleeding. But no, he didn't care about that. Now, why would he have to do that? Why would he have to work that much harder than the other kids? Well, we know life as a 6-foot guard isn't easy. In order to even get a Division I college offer at that size, you don't just have to be incredibly talented. That's not even enough in many instances. To make it, you have to offer something different. You've got to be a real dog on defense, able to get under the ball handler's guard to make their lives miserable. Now, even if you're capable of that when you get to the NBA or even college, people will still say you're a defensive liability. Just because of your size. Yeah, basketball's an unfair sport that way. The point is that despite Payton's incredible ability to win, he wasn't one of those kind of prospects. One of those guys who chooses college knowing they're only going to be there for a year. One of those who knows his future in the NBA is virtually assured. At 6 feet tall and 175 pounds, he was ranked outside the top 50 of ESPN's top 100 of his class. This same site gave him a rating of 85 out of 100 in their rankings, and all the agencies gave him a 4-star rating. Although he had dozens of offers on the table from colleges interested in his qualities, he decided to accept the offer from Oregon, his hometown, to try and maximize his chances of achieving his dream. A dream that, although distant for him, had never ceased to be possible. Because deep down, Pritchard, he knew what he was capable of. And in Oregon, oh boy did he show everyone what he was capable of. During his first 3 seasons, Payton went from being a defensive specialist to an incredible two-way player. Because after averaging only 7 points a night during his first year, Pritchard evolved into the first offensive option of a very solid team. In fact, his averages of 20.5 points and 5.5 assists per night were both the highest in his entire conference, the Pac-12. That season when Pritchard was in his senior year of college. However, the COVID-19 pandemic robbed him of the opportunity to play in the March Madness and raise his draft stock even higher. Because when Oregon looked like they were capable of going toe-to-toe with any college team in the country, the NCAA had to suspend their season. However, we have to be honest. After his senior year and despite his lack of size for the NBA, Payton had already caught the attention of scouts. Maybe it would be at the end of the first round, or maybe it would be in the second round. But at that point, it was clear some franchise was going to trust his abilities. Now, Pritchard wasn't selected by just any franchise in the 26th position in the 2020 draft. He was drafted by a franchise that would become a perennial contender in the Eastern Conference. Of course, we're talking about the Boston Celtics. Boston seemed like a good place for him to develop. A good competitive team with a clear winning culture that's already developed a lot of talent, with most of them being able to have a long career in the NBA. Pritchard assumed his role as backup point guard to perfection, taking advantage of his minutes to demonstrate his consistency from long range, although his playmaking ability was overshadowed when he had to redevelop himself to being a player who mostly played off the ball. But the truth is that during those first 2 seasons, it seemed that Danny Ainge had got it right with that late first-round pick. However, everything changed in his 3rd season. His small size caused Pritchard to be continually haunted on defense by every offensive system of every coach in the league. Something that became more noticeable in the playoffs, where teams look for any signs of weakness to draw blood and take advantage. This factor, coupled with the inconsistency of his outside shooting compared to the first 2 years, and the presence of Malcolm Brogdon on the roster, caused Payton to fall out of the Celtics rotation for several stretches of the 2022-2023 season. For a moment, it looked like his NBA career might be nearing its end. But that summer of 2023, everything changed. The Celtics made a tremendous gamble by boosting their starting five with some moves. They made it practically the best in the league by acquiring the services of two players, Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. To do so, they had to extremely weaken their bench, and that's precisely the reason why it was a risky bet. Everyone knows the importance of having good rotation players in the playoffs, key contributors who can step up when the superstars are resting. And it was precisely these minutes that gave Payton the opportunity to step up. Not just for himself, but because without his contribution, the Celtics could be in a lot of trouble. The reality is that Pritchard not only succeeded in that role, he's exceeded all expectations. Over the past 2 seasons, he's not only become a first-time NBA champion with a major role as backup point guard to Jrue Holiday, he's also multiplied his individual production. In fact, this season, Payton's averaging a career-high 14.6 points per game, a career-high 3.6 rebounds per night, and a career-high 3.4 assists. His minutes have skyrocketed, and so has his efficiency, as he's averaging career highs this season in field goal percentage, three-pointers, and true shooting. Bottom line, Payton is playing the best basketball of his career. As of today, he's the favorite to win the 6th Man of the Year award. His 4-season, $30 million contract has become the biggest bargain that any general manager in the association would love to have. And as an asset, he's one of the most valuable pieces the Celtics might be willing to move if necessary. But not right now. Not at this level of play. Payton's a must-have for Boston, just as Boston is a must-have for Payton. After being left out of the rotation and even rumored to be on his way out for months just 2 years ago, Pritchard has once again exceeded all expectations to become the best version of himself. And that's exactly what I was referring to at the beginning of the video. Remember when I said that Pritchard had somehow been the savior of the Boston Celtics? Well, I didn't just say it to say it. Because in a way, that's the reality. Without his leadership with the second unit, the team could sink like the bench of many other teams that made a similar gamble. The Milwaukee Bucks, the Phoenix Suns, or the Philadelphia 76ers are teams that have also tried to bet on the same model, sacrificing future assets and their bench for the potential of a dream starting five. But with the arrival of the new CBA, the rules have changed. It's very difficult to maintain a consistent balance within the rotation. Teams are forced to spend big money for star talent and lose that depth. But one of the differences between the Celtics and those other teams is their bench. Payton Pritchard is essential. So much so that this year, injuries aside, he's enjoyed minutes that almost translate to those of a starter. And the truth is that it seems to be difficult to find a player in the league capable of replicating his production for the same salary. A player capable of transforming his games with his scoring ability while being able to lock down on defense. If the Celtics didn't have him, well, maybe the story would have been completely different.